What's up, guys, and how is everybody doing out there? I hope everybody is doing well. I'm sitting here on the porch. Beautiful sunny day. Not very hot. Sometimes you got to reflect on life. I don't care where you're at. You got to look at the past, the things that happened in the past. The good times, the bad times, the hard times, the tough times, the easy times. We all go through them, right? And I had received news about a week and a half ago. It wasn't like devastating, heartbreaking news or anything like that. I guess I could say it was sad news, sad news. I had received news that my biological father had passed away. First of all, let me break down the dynamics of my family, all right? My family wasn't like my mom and dad met, they fell in love, they were high school sweethearts, they had 4 kids, and we all lived happily. Nothing like that, nothing like that. My biological father, that's what I call him, I guess you could say the sperm donor, married my mother, all right? They had 2 children. I have an older brother who's 1 year older than me, and then me. Then my biological father and my mother divorced. Now, I was so young, I don't even remember it. That's how young I was, all right? And then she met my father, the man I call my father, the man who was there, raised me, taught me, lessons in life, the man who whipped my behind when I did something wrong. Yes, I grew up in the era when you did something wrong. Oh, we're going to sit you in a corner. Let's talk. No, we got a butt whipping. We got a butt whipping. My father never beat us. He never beat us, but he did butt whip us. Well, they met, and then they got married. Now my father, the man I call my father, he was married also before he met my mother. And they had 2 children. The youngest of the 2 went to live with his mother. The oldest one, who I call my brother, well, I call them both my brother, he lived with my dad. So when my dad and my mother got together, it was my older brother from my dad's marriage, my older brother from my mom's first marriage to my biological father, and then me. Are you following along? Right? And then my mother and my father had a son together. So I have a younger brother, 4 brothers. We all lived together. We all grew up together. Follow the dynamics of this. Like I said, it wasn't one of these fairy tale marriages and fairy tale families and everything like that. So I never knew my biological father. Hell, I didn't even know I was adopted till I couldn't even tell you how old I was. Maybe early teens, something like that. And I remember asking my mom, well, what was my biological father like? And he was like, oh, he was a bad man. He was a bad man. But she never got into the details of it. I never asked and never pushed it. We grew up in a religious family. My mom and dad were strict Baptists. Strict Baptists. Don't question it. It's what we say and what the Bible says and what God says. So we never questioned those kind of things. And it's just the way it was, all right? So I never knew him. If I'd asked my mom, oh, he's a bad person. You don't need to know about him. Okay, all right. I never even knew his name. So as I got older and everything, when I got into the military, I had to produce my birth certificate. And I also had to produce my adoption papers. So on the adoption papers, it said who my father, no, it's on the birth certificate, it said who my father's name was and everything. So now I knew his name. And of course I had my adoption paper and when I was adopted. So now I knew the year I was adopted. So I'd have all that when I went into the military. So now I had a name. That was it. Then I got married, and I remember my ex-wife saying to me, hey, now you gotta understand I was early 20s, something like that. Yeah, early 20s. And she's like, hey, would you ever be interested in meeting your biological father? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I wasn't mad. I wasn't one of those people like, I gotta know who he is. Why did he give me up? Going all crazy. And yeah, sure. I said, sure. Yeah, why not? So my ex-wife contacted my brother. I said, hey, would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, I guess, whatever. So we set up a meeting to meet him and everything like that. And I can remember it was at a restaurant, and I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I didn't have these great expectations. I really didn't have any real feelings, you know what I mean? Like, I'm excited, yeah, I was curious. I guess you could say I was curious. So we met and got to know him. It was kind of, and I didn't ask questions. I didn't push anything. My brother didn't push anything. It was more like, hey, nice to meet you. You have an uncle, you have an aunt, this and that. Oh, and by the way, you have a younger brother. Okay, all right, got a younger brother. Evidently, he remarried and, had another son. And I don't think that marriage worked out. As a matter of fact, I know it didn't work out. So we stayed in contact. And, Christmas rolled around. Hey, would you like to get together for like a Christmas meal? Sure, why not? Oh, by the way, your younger brother will be there. All right. So I met him. Nice kid. Nice guy. He's a man now, right? Got 2 kids and, I don't know, 30s, 40s. Nice guy, nice man. Got to know him, stayed in contact with him. Had a couple Christmases, not necessarily Christmases, but a Christmas celebration, you could say. It didn't happen on a Christmas day or anything like that. Probably like a week before Christmas we got together. And then, we kind of just fell out again. I did stay in touch with my younger brother, from his second marriage. And occasionally get a phone call, hey, how you doing, da-da-da-da. And then gradually just kind of like fell out of touch. And then here it was probably last year. I got a message from my younger brother. Hey, our father, he had a bad stroke. He's he's going to need nursing care. And like, all right, yeah, hope he's doing well. You feel bad and sad, but you don't feel over like emotional about it because there was really no connection. There really is no connection there. And then here, like I said, about a week or so ago, I got a message. Hey, he had a bad stroke. We don't know what's going to happen. And then, a day or two later, I get a message he had passed away. I felt sad. I felt sad that he passed away. I wasn't devastated or anything like that. Like I said, there's really no connection there. I was happy that he's finally, at peace. And I didn't know this until my younger brother said, he struggled. He was in Vietnam. He was a Marine in Vietnam. He struggled with the PTSD. They didn't have all the help that they have now. So I know he struggled with that. My brother did have him buried in a national cemetery. He did send me pictures and everything like that. But it brings me to this point. And I know people will say, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. You should have done this. And you know what? Until you're in a situation like I'm in or somebody else is in, it's easy for people to say, it brings me to this point, like when you retire here in the Philippines as an expat, everybody comes here for many different reasons. And I'm talking about the ones that I've sold everything. I don't owe a penny back in wherever country you came from. I don't have no debt. I don't have nothing. I am moving to the Philippines. I'm retiring in the Philippines. Whether or not you you buy a condo here, or whether or not you buy land here, or whatever you do, you give up everything back in the States. You might come here on a pension. Some people come here on big pensions. Some people come here on low pensions. Some people come here with huge savings, all right? But you come here and you'll get news of family members and friends back in the States, you know, devastating, sad news. Like, hey, you remember so-and-so? You know, yeah, he was my best friend and we stay in touch. Oh, he had a heart attack and he passed away. You know, you're here. Can you jump on a plane and fly back? And because you got to understand, you know, within a week, people are being buried. You know, do you have the money to buy a plane? You know, you're going to pay that really expensive flights. Hey, you know, your mom is sick, your dad is sick, they're in the hospital, they're not doing well. An uncle passes away. I think I've had, prior to leaving the States, both my uncles and my grandmother had passed away. So I was there for that. But I've had great aunts, great uncles pass away while I'm here. And I would love to have been there, you know, to be at the funerals, but you gotta weigh these things out. You know, do you have, if you've got the money to run back, and you know, good for you, but I'm gonna say most expats here don't have that kind of money to run back when a brother passed, or an aunt, an uncle, a friend, run back to the States all the time. And the older we get, the older so do all of our older relatives, right? You know, I got news, hey, your brother had a heart attack. You know, I'm talking about my brother from my mom's first marriage. And I'm closer to him than any of my other brothers. And it's like, you know, you feel bad. I'd love to have been there for him, you know. But the only thing you do is just stay in contact. You know, it's a big difference staying in contact via internet and emails than being there and comforting a loved one there in person. I remember my nephew, high school, senior year, got into a motorcycle accident, ICU, broke his back. You know, I'd love to have been there, like, you know, hey, you know, keep fighting. And, you know, he did pull through everything. He's healthy, he's good, he's okay today. However, he's in a wheelchair now for the rest of his life. You'll get this news while you're here. You almost feel helpless because you can't be there. You can't be there in person to comfort these people, to encourage the people, your family, your friends. These are the things you got to deal with when you live here. Excuse me. When you make that decision to completely be in the Philippines, you have to deal with that. I'm not talking about the ones that come over here for a few months, go back and live in the States. Come over here for a half a year, go back and live. They have a base home back in America. I'm talking about people that are here full-time, living here. It is hard. It is hard when you hear, you know, sad news from back home about a family member, you know, a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a cousin. I've got cousins back in the States that I've never even talked to. Never met them. Because when it came over here, well, no, I wouldn't say cousins. I would say cousins' kids, okay? Because when I left to come here, they were, you know, graduating high school, and now they're married, and now they have kids. I've never met them. You know, those are things you'll give that up. Like my brother's kids, now I've met them. You know, met them all. Matter of fact, when I was back in the States, I finally met my two nephews, my brother's kids. So they're my nephews. My nephew's children. All right, never met them. You know. You'll get emails, hey, you know, we just gave, you know, your nephew just had kids, and you get pictures and stuff, and you get to see it, and you smile, and, oh, you know, but you never get to see them, you know, unless you travel back and forth to the States. And that was one of the great things last year, which was about a year ago, where I went back to the States, and I got to see my two nephews from or I don't know what do you even call them, my nephew's kids, all right? I got to see them. I'd never seen them before. But yes, these are the things you will give up when you're here full time. Like I said, unless you're unless you're a big baller, a big baller, and you got that kind of money to do these things, you give it up when you come here. But yes, like I said, I received that sad news, and to me it was sad news that he had passed away. I know he struggled, like my younger brother said, he struggled with, PTSD his whole life, and I never got to really know him. Never really got to ask questions. Why did you give us up for adoption? What was your life like? Never asked my mom. I could ask my mom now. I just never thought of it. Probably next time I talk to her, I'm like, hey, what was he like? I'm older now. I can handle it. I'm 56 years old. You don't have to, if he was this or he was that or he was that, all right. But the thing is, I will only get, like during a divorce and split ups and breakups, you only get one side of the story, right? I'll get my mom's side of the story, but I'll never be able to get my biological father's side of the story. But yes, like I said, to me it was sad, but he has no more pain. He has no more pain. I'm 56, 60. I think he was in his mid 70s. I had to do the math to figure it out. But anyways, remember guys, when you move here, these are the things you're going to have to deal with. Being here and loved ones back. I say the States because that's where I come from, but loved ones from where you grew up and lived and then came here. So, all right, guys, with that being said, I will talk to you later.